This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshido. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder Podcast. Hoots on the ground with no bullshido. Coming to you with Mr. Felipe Engineer-Manriquez, the EBFC show, longtime builder, amazing person. Felipe, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Adam, thank you for having me on the show. I am so excited to be here, sharing time with you at 0:30 in the morning, Adam. This was so worth setting that alarm and getting up on the first time it goes off. And that's the way to do it when you've got a meeting with Mr. Hoots himself. Yeah, exactly. So I've been, like Adam said, longtime builder, been building for over 20 years, primarily working for general contractors across the United States in multiple geographies. Most recently, I've joined the Boldt company and I'm working coast to coast based out of the beautiful Oklahoma City office. But I'm still living large in beautiful California. So yeah, figure that out, people. It's awesome. I've also got a podcast, like Adam said, the Easier, Better for Construction podcast, where I bring on guests like Adam Hoots and others to talk about, yeah, Adam, you're going to have to come on the show. Duh.
Make that true now. Yeah, wait a minute.
We're gonna have to make it true. That's okay. You're invited, Adam, to be a guest on my show as well. Not this episode. This is about us and you interviewing me, which is perfect. So a little bit more about myself. My background is surprisingly electrical engineering. Did you know that, Adam?
I did. I've tuned in before.
You've actually tuned in. Okay. So he knows. He studies, he pays attention. I've also got a master's in business administration, and that was all to help me understand better how businesses work from end to end. And I put it to work every single day. I've got my podcast company as well. And that is so much fun to have. And I'm heavily involved in teaching and coaching Scrum through the EBFC show. Yes, exactly.
I can't believe we got through 3 minutes of intro and you didn't drop the S word.
Yeah, but then I dropped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also a Scrum trainer, Scrum master, certified Scrum master, Scrum product owner, and a Scrum at Scale practitioner. That's a lot. That's a lot of Scrum. And do I use Scrum every day, Adam? Yes, I do. I use it every day for everything, just about everything. I'm using it right now to be on the show. I know we're going to dive into more of what that is, but yeah, what else do I've never said on the show, Adam, my favorite form of exercise is walking. So now you know.
You like too? That. Absolutely.
Oh, good. We have that in common. And I often will listen to podcasts like yours when I'm out walking in the world. So yeah, there's a little something about me that I didn't share before.
I appreciate that. We got an exclusive here, and for what it's worth, that's a huge compliment to know that you tune in, because you are the original podcast construction guy. Like, you've had a podcast since before podcasting was cool, huh?
So we are in season 3. We do a show about every 2 weeks. I think we're approaching 60 shows total. And we've got shows set to come out for the rest of the year. So yeah, season 4 is definitely going to happen come next year. And I don't see it ending anytime soon. It is a lot of fun and a labor of love to podcast and share with people wherever they enjoy podcasts.
And I've been practicing, unlike our buddy Jesus Hernandez. It is the EBFC show. Every time I say those letters, I hear Felipe's Easier, Better for Construction.
That is absolutely right. He's got and you're going to get points for being so right in practicing. I know Jesse, shout out to Jesse, Learnings and Missteps, when I was on my show. And this was after Jesse and I had recorded over 12 hours together for the Lean Builder book review, Adam.
The collabo session.
The collabo sessions. And he could never remember my show's acronym. So
We'll have to throw those shows out there in the notes here because those were fantastic. And y'all have collaborated on a few other things as well. We'll try and get some of that stuff in there as well. I want to hammer through Scrum because I don't want the whole thing to be about Scrum, but I know we can't go through this without being a little Scrum-malicious with you. What the hell is Scrum?
Yeah. So right out the gate, if you're thinking, is it a game? Yes, it is. The one and same that we're talking about, Scrum is a management framework that allows teams of people, or in my case, the way I started, individuals, to solve complex problems, to deliver value with absolutely less effort. It can make it easier to finish a project using a couple of simple steps. It has very few moving parts, Adam. It's easy to use. You can use it by yourself or with teams. You just need one person to know what it is so that you can use it with teams. Obviously, to know as an individual, you got to know yourself too. Yeah, it's got a couple of simple steps. It's got some unique roles, 3 different functional roles, which are Scrum Master, the person that has to know the system the best, a product owner, the person responsible for what the team is working on, and has absolutely the closest ear to the customer's voice, and of course, the team. The people we love the most, right, Adam? The team. The team makes it all happen. They do the valuable work. And what makes Scrum so unique, Adam, which a lot of other management framework systems lack, is that it has some very intentional connection points to bring feedback to the team so they can change how they work and what they're delivering, which this sounds so simple. Like I could say it in one sentence, and yet when you examine many other management systems or ways that teams organize, they're often missing those feedbacks. And Adam, in sports, you see it in the very best teams that have the best records. They always take time to stop, reflect, adapt, and change. And that makes the difference between playing in the game and having the game play you. So I just highly recommend.
I'm going to give you a point there, Felipe.
Yeah, thank you. And then, of course, here's the book.
I was going to say, I'm also a Scrum Master. You were my Scrum trainer, and it sounds like you wrote a freaking book on it, man. Tell us more.
Yeah, I wanted to get even better at understanding the system, so I decided to write a book. And I scrummed the whole book writing process from start to finish, all the way to getting it out in multiple different forms. It's available on Kindle Unlimited for free, people. So if you have Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, you can get the PDF or the Kindle version of this book free of charge, or you can go to constructionscrum.com, and on the site, I give away about the first third-ish of the book for free as a PDF. And my favorite, chapter 9, the Scrum Guide with my commentary, is available as a podcast episode on the EBFC show or on the book's website under the downloads area. So you can listen to that for free on YouTube or wherever you consume your podcast. In this voice, you can learn all about Scrum and what I think about it and how it relates to construction. And I translate things from the Scrum Guide right into everyday construction language for you, Adam.
Yeah, you've done a great job with me personally. I also operate in the Scrum framework. I have a hard copy here on my wall. Another point. Thank you.
Yep.
It is much due to this book, but also the course that I took. I think it was a 2-day course with you, how to implement Scrum in my life. And man, I'll tell you, my productivity just skyrocketed after that class, and I've been nonstop ever since. I love in the book how you tell a story and then you give the guide and then you help to customize the playbook. It's just, again, you're making projects easier, faster, better for construction and everything that you do. I mean, seriously, I think your whole life has been designed around that. What are the steps that you've taken to design your life to make everything point towards being EBFC?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Adam, thank you so much for that praise. Also, people, I've got a free, and in my link, I know Adam's going to include links to get connected with me and all of my connections, social media links. Will be able to navigate your way towards that book, those resources. And Adam, I even recorded a professionally recorded the Scrum Master course so that people can take it whenever they want at their own speed.
So I can become a Scrum Master at midnight.
Yes, you can.
Oh man, that's exciting.
Yes, you can. And you still get to talk to me as a result of taking the course. So that's the ticket out of the course before you get to go test, is to get with me and answer all of your questions, because people will always have questions. I love to customize it for people. And that's one of the things, Adam, to answer your question, you've got to customize it for you. It's like scaffolding. So I know your audience knows how to build. This is the Lean Builder Hoots on the Ground podcast. People know how to build. Anyone that's been involved in any type of vertical construction has at least walked by scaffold or touched scaffold or been up on scaffold. The Scrum framework is exactly the same way. You build it up to serve your needs, you modify it to get to the work, and you take it down when it's over. Same thing happens using Scrum for projects. That's what you do. So the first thing I had to do, Adam, was I needed a problem. And my problem that I had was that there's only 24 hours in the day. That was my problem. I was working way too much, and I needed something to help me. I learned about lean, and it took me so far, but I reached a plateau where I could not continue improving. And then when I learned and applied the Scrum framework in my work as a project manager so many years ago, then I exponentially increased my productivity, my throughput, with less effort. I worked less and got more done. And one of the first times I was using this, Adam, I've never talked about this. I was using the framework for change orders on a project, not even written about in the book. This is an earlier project. And the customer had to hire 6 cost people to keep up with the avalanche of change orders we were bringing to them. Now, these were not like Felipe fishing for change orders people, so I don't want you to get the wrong idea. These were with entitled, merited change orders.
Client requested or
Yeah,
necessary.
client. Most of them were client requested, or they were as a result of some further changes to the design. That's what those were for. And it was a very large project. We had to get caught up. And I used some principles from Scrum on just that process, just dabbling to see what could happen. And in response, the client had to hire 6 people. And I'm still friends with that client to this day. We've kept in touch over the years, and we often chuckle about the avalanche of changes that we brought to them and they processed to get our trade partners paid, Adam. And yeah, one of the first things you got to do, people, is you've got to have a problem to use Scrum. Because if you're working right now and you're listening to the show and you think everything is absolutely great, then congratulations. Just sit back and enjoy. Go for the ride. But if you're listening to this show and you're like, you know what, things could be better, maybe I am working too hard, then you might want to dabble in the Scrum arts, as we say, and play with it. Like Adam, you heard Adam talk about it. You're hearing me talk about it. It is definitely something to look into. It's as easy as investing 20 minutes of your time to read the Scrum guide, or an hour, listen to me walk you through the nuances in and out, and then just start getting dirty with it. You can use Post-it notes. You can use the Scrum framework, Adam, without even a Scrum board. It is absolutely possible. And I'd love to break that down further, but I'm saying step 1, have a problem. For me, it was not enough time. And then step 2, learn some basic fundamentals of the scaffolding so that you set your scaffold on solid ground. Don't play the Scrum telephone game and you heard from a friend who heard from a friend that heard from a friend. No, go right to the source. That's how we start with the guide. Give us the right framework. Like, how wide off the building can I get with my scaffold? How deep does my foundation have to go? Can I put my scaffold on bedrock? Yes, and you should. And when you put it on bedrock, Adam, there is no limit to high you can go. So let's put it on bedrock and go all the way to the top where you need to go with it.
So I love the idea of the scaffolding and taking it, creating it, customizing it for what the job needs. I've never really heard it put that way. I think lean very much classifies or qualifies in that same bucket. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you though. And so I'm thinking about this as if I'm a builder out there listening to this, I'm like, all right, I heard Hoots say it. Okay, there might be something there. I hear Felipe all the time, Scrum this, Scrum that. It sounds like a little Bullshido to me. So help convince me.
Yeah,
And maybe it's like, where do I, like, give us a couple of quick nuggets on where to start? Maybe you're talking like the very easiest form. We're trying to visualize our work and limit our work in progress. So convince me this isn't Bullshido, Felipe.
Okay, super easiest thing to do. So I've had foremen from electrical contractors, drywall contractors, and concrete contractors come to my training and talk to me after class about what they learned and what they're going to use. So I'm going to share their story to make it very applicable no matter where you are. And of course, if you're in a management role, you can scale this up to what you're doing too, or we could talk about that example second. So as a foreman, you've got a crew of people, a team. The number one problem that they have is communication flow, from what the contract drawings are to what their productivity rates are. Getting that information out of the foreman's head and to the crews so that crews can succeed as a team or be successful is a big challenge. So a lot of the times when we go through the Scrum training, one of the first things, and you already hinted at it, is we make things visual. So the first thing to do is to take those numbers or goals and make it visual so the people doing the work can see what success looks like. So it's as simple as, if playing a game, we're going to move the ball down the field, score the touchdown. That's when you celebrate. That's when you do your touchdown dance, right? In construction, Adam, most foremen and crews don't know where the field goal is. They don't know where the goal is to make the touchdown. It's just a, let's
They
just
also don't have touchdown dances.
They don't have touchdown dances. They just go straight to work and they just say, do as much as you can. And sometimes doing as much as you can or putting a lot of work in place creates excess inventory, or it clogs the job site and limits the flow through, because you can't ignore what, Adam? You can't ignore the laws.
Production laws are everything.
That's
I
right.
think you're searching for variation there, but yeah, the production laws are everything.
No, you can't. Yeah, and variation is absolutely there. So for the foreman, one of the first things they do is they make those things visible. For example, if it's a production rate goal of where they should be, and in the case of the electrical foreman, they said, if we're roughing in conduit for in-wall, they will tell with a marked up drawing. They'll have a drawing with them, either on a tablet or a printed off, marked up with highlighter. Low tech is still tech, baby. And then they can show the crew, here we are now at the start of this corridor. We're going to move north. By the end of today, we should be through these 3 rooms. And then by the end of the week, we should be through 15 rooms. If we can do 3 rooms a day, 3 times 5 is 15. We should be able to finish 15 rooms in the next 5 days. And then we say, the foreman now say to their crew, in order to get the first 3 rooms done for today, let's review what we need. And they pull from the team, what are the needs to achieve the goal of getting the 3 rooms. Now, all I've done, Adam, is asked 2 questions using a visual aid. And you're like, how is that Scrum? Okay, to use Scrum language, we've taught them you have to have a goal to aim towards. A goal could be just like a goal, like in soccer. It's the place where you want to kick the ball to, or like in football, it's the end zone where you want to get the ball to. It's a place where it's not where I am now. It's somewhere I want to be, somewhere else. Or if we're thinking like a lean practitioner, I've got a target and I'm going to close the gap. It's the distance from my current state to the gap target. That's what the goal helps us do. And then making it visual.
It's how we win.
It's how we win, because we want to celebrate, baby. And you celebrate when you win. And what happens, the foremen have said, making that one simple change creates more engagement from the trades. It gets people's head in the game. They talk about safety. They talk about productivity things. They have the right conversations with just 2 questions after they show, here's what we have. Here's where we're going to start. Here's where we'd like to be at the end of today and at the end of 5 days. And then from there, they talk to the plan, standing shoulder to shoulder together. They solve problems. They get the right material and equipment ready, and then they can work at a sustainable pace where people don't have to run and don't have to do dangerous things. They can work slower and get more done by being focused. And the goal doesn't change. Let's say at the end of a couple of days, they start to pull ahead. We teach in the Scrum course too, take the extra time, the excess capacity, and to train, to clean things, to make the next run even better. And if you finish earlier, you can work on what we call workable backlog or other non-critical areas, there's nothing wrong with cleaning your site so that the work is better and easier and accessible. The following week with the team, you can shift the goal based on what you learned in the prior week. And you're not making people work harder. You're enabling people to work smarter so that the work is smoother and easier to do, which makes the quality better for construction. You see how I wove that in? It's like magic.
Yeah. I heard EBF and C in there as
You
well.
did. So that's one example from some of the foremen. And that's just a lot of the time, Adam, people working, especially in the trades, like the expectation is to just be working all the time, to always be busy. And we tell people, like, there's some things that you can see and do. We don't want to reward busy. We want to reward work in place, high quality work in place. Everybody in the game of construction, including designers, we all get rewarded by putting in meaningful, high quality work in place. That's how we all get paid. And that's what the clients want. The clients that hire us to do these things, they need a working building or whatever type of construction it is so that they can solve their problem, generate revenue, educate people in the examples of schools, or treat patients in the examples of hospitals, whatever they're on a mission to do. So that's what the game is. And if we break it down and think of it like a game, it becomes much easier to win.
If I'm on a job site and I'm getting there, and I believe just because I know, but what's one thing that I can do to get started using this Scrum thing? Or what's one thing I should stop doing to start doing Scrum?
Yeah, one thing you should stop doing is just rushing into the work. I want everyone listening, if you take, and companies try to do this with safety, where you want to start the day with safety, and you absolutely should start the day with safety. If you're already gathering your people together to talk about safety, the next conversation to follow that up with or to weave inside of is the production. What are we here to do? What are we building? Just take a minute, take 60 seconds and share with your team, why are we building this thing? And share why it's important for your crew, why what your crew does is important for the company for extra credit, so people can see how they have a hand in what is being done. They become part of the solution for the client and not just like this job to go have. And so that's one thing you can do when you're having your safety talks. Add in a little bit of conversation on production and keep it safety focused. But if I'm talking about what the work is and the volume of work we have to do, goals, bring the goals into the safety, and the safety goal that everyone leaves in as good a condition as they came. Now you've got production and safety working hand in glove together. There's nothing wrong with that, and it makes it meaningful, and you're going to have a better safety conversation too, because now we're talking about specific tasks, and it's not just a blanket statement. Put your PPE on, watch out for don't cross the red danger tape. Like, those things are good reminders, but when you get task specific and it becomes so much more real.
Yeah, don't cross that red danger tape, because we're hanging an AC unit on the roof and it could break loose and smash you, means a lot more than just don't cross the red danger tape.
Exactly. Make it as real and as specific as you can. Right now, like, we're bringing in elements of Scrum to get started with, and you haven't had to do anything other than ask a question and have a plan to ask a question. It is that easy to get started.
I love it. You make it sound so simple.
It's simple. That's why I had to write a book about it, because I had to get it out of my head and into your hands. And so, like, in the first chapters of the book, like Adam mentioned, I talk about a couple of different stories. The first chapters, every chapter in the beginning third of the book, is a different story of a different team at a different phase of construction, in a different type of construction, implementing Scrum for a different reason. So why did I do all that? Because I wanted to get as many chances to engage and connect with people, no matter what phase they're in, what the role they're playing on the project, and even where their project is geographically in the world, so that they can see how easy it is to start Scrum at any time, anywhere, with any team. And you don't have to have any experience at all to get started. When I first started, people, I didn't even know what Scrum was. I didn't even know what rugby was. So rugby is the name of the game. It's like football. but not. It's different. It's definitely more physical. I think it's more physically intense, but
No pads, right? Of
no
course,
pads,
helmet.
no pads, no helmet, full contact. The difference where Scrum gets its name is that in the game of rugby, there's a formation where they put the ball back in play, where the players literally make contact, connect at odds. So you have one team coming in this direction, one team in this direction, and they're physically connected, head to head, shoulder to shoulder, back to back, and they're pushing each other to go in the direction. The ball gets rolled in onto one team's side, and that creates the start of the play. And so that's in that moment where the one team is pushing in one single direction is exactly where Scrum gets its name from, because your team will pull and work in one direction.
I love it. That was a very good explanation. I think, and there's even free programs out there. I know I use Trello with some folks to be able to collaborate. I think that's important to recognize. And again, at its most simplest form, it's to do, doing, and done. And it's 3 columns that you're moving post-it notes through of the tasks or activities that I have to do today, tomorrow, 2-week increments. So again, it fits our scheduling, planning, to-do list, like just getting shit done, I think is what Scrum is mostly about from my perspective.
Yeah, mostly from my perspective too. Getting things done and getting the right things done. And just as important as using technology, like Adam mentioned, there's actually more than 50 different technology solutions there where you can use the Scrum framework. I also use Trello quite a bit myself, and I use Mural, Mural, and I use Post-it notes too. I have, if I'm physically co-located with the team, I'll still go low tech like Adam does too. Like we both are huge fans of the use the right technology solution to serve you in the moment, people. And yeah, if you're not co-located with the team and you would need a central repository to capture information, Trello is a great resource. Mural is a great one. There's another competitor of Mural called Miro, Miro, which is a little fancier. It looks a little fancier. People like it, but I like Mural. I like the easy to go. And here's the first shameless plug. I've got a course on my site to teach you how to use Mural and Scrum together. And you can learn, you can take a free piece of that course. Every course I offer has free parts that you can take and take advantage of, and you should. And then only go on to the other content if you need to. But there's a free Mural section, how to use Scrum inside of Mural. And I even teach you how to use Mural, which is an online digital whiteboard in the cloud. And you can start with Mural for free. And I don't get paid by Mural at all. I get no money for people signing up there. I just like to give people options so that if you've got a team and you want to share and you want to brainstorm and use a whiteboard, or you want to use Scrum on a, like what you would, exactly like you would with sticky notes, there's a place that you can get started for free. No excuse, no bullshido. The resources is right there for you. And I show you how to use it in less than 25 minutes.
I don't think that was the first shameless plug, but
Okay,
that's
that's
okay.
true. Shameless plug 35.
I will tell you, it's full of gold. This is my copy. I had to take all of my notes off of the front just so that I could show it off. I've got, again, my favorite part is the beginning where you're in real life, because I was like, oh man, that was me on this job, or that was this so-and-so on this project. And I guess to round off the Scrum conversation, because I want to go elsewhere, because I feel like that's all you talk about when folks get a hold of you. It's Scrum, Scrum, Scrum.
I wish that was the case. We were talking just before the show started, and I was telling Adam, like the stuff that I'm most involved with in my day job now is actually helping teams with tact and implementing tact, which is so funny because, of course, I use Scrum to deliver tact, as Adam knows, like no surprise. And here we go, plug for Adam. Adam had a hand in contributing to tact planning and integrated control, Jason and Spencer's book.
Boom. I
Adam,
keep all my favorite books right
yeah,
here.
Adam's in this book. I'm in this book. Of course, I
Look at this one.
contributed a chapter on Scrum. Oh, he's
I
got
don't know about that one,
the
dude.
lean and love. I've asked them so many times, tell me when I can get my hands on it, and they just have
Tell me
not told
about
me
it.
yet. But yeah, this is what I'm doing a lot these days, is actually working in tact. So if you want to talk about tact or something else, Adam, I'm wide open for you. Let's go.
No, I don't actually. So one last thing on the whole Scrum or even Tact or any of this other last planner system or any of this. A lot of times we hear How do I get somebody to buy in? Maybe I'm starting to believe you, Felipe. There might be some value. I've taken the course. I've read your book. I'm starting to see it. I believe in the Scrum Guide by Jeff Sutherland, JJ Southerland. How do I get my team to buy in with me here?
Oh, I love that question. So that's the number one thing I hear is the word no. And it's been the case every time that, not every single time, but many times where we've tried to take teams in a new direction. Because let's face it, Adam, we're not born knowing how to do these frameworks. Like you weren't born and your first words were the production laws or variation, right? These are things that you learn over time and experience. And we can literally stand on the shoulders of giants before us and move forward. You can't absolutely suffer every day and use square wheels when round wheels would have been so much better. You can do that. It's an option. It's a choice. But learn a little bit, invest in yourself, and then you can take these things forward. So when people say, how do I get buy-in? I can't get buy-in for so, or they're making this complaint. If you really stop and listen to what they're saying is, I don't yet believe in this thing. And that's why they can't get buy-in. So I've told people this. I just had this conversation last week. I was talking to a project manager who has experience with Last Planner system. And they said to me, how do you get subcontractor buy-in? And now we say trade partners, but this isn't a real story with real people. Not everybody knows the difference between a subcontractor and a trade partner yet, but I'm sure you've educated your audience on this, Adam. So I won't go there unless we need to. And I told this project manager, I said, I hear what you're saying. And I asked a couple clarifying questions. And I said, what parts of this are you struggling with? And they said, like, I don't see how we can slow down and make time to bring people in for all these meetings. And I was like, there it is. So by asking a couple of clarifying questions, I found where they had doubts and lack of belief. And people, I'm telling you, like, before we go down the psychology of this answer, number one, using these frameworks, Scrum, Last Planner system, and TACT, these three things, and there's other tools that you can use as well, help you deliver your projects in less time, faster, without exception. The worst I've ever done with Last Planner system is 20% faster than the CPM schedule. That's the worst I've ever done. So just imagine, like, you're on a job and you start using it at any phase and you have a milestone coming up in the next 30 days. The worst I've ever done with a team is finish that milestone 20% faster than scheduled. That's the worst I've ever done. The best I've ever done is more than twice as fast, but that's a whole nother story. And even on a 5-year project, there was a project that was 5 years using just Last Planner system. We took 1 year off of that job and we did a 5-year job in 4 years. And that's without overtime, without extra people, without hiring coaches, no extra spend. It's just using the pieces of the framework to serve you. So now back to the belief part. This project manager has not yet had an experience with a reliable implementation of Last Planner system. And from his experience, due to variation, Adam, I know this evil variation, all these different things that could happen. They didn't use standard agendas to have the milestone review meetings. They didn't use standard agendas for their check-ins. So meetings could go very long with trade partners when they're starting this off. They didn't use parking lots to deal with what if people type of questions that come when there's issues. They didn't actively manage constraints so they can make work reliable and ready. So missing all these pieces, they weren't actually doing Last Planner system. They were doing something else, probably push scheduling with sticky notes, probably. And so as we talk more about what it could look like, I said, okay, the time commitment is going to be 4 stand-up meetings every day in a 5-day period. We said, let's just look at the 5 days and then we'll look at a month. And this is the dialogue I'm having with the PM. You want to have a standard agenda for the check-in where everybody I told them, these are the people you bring. These are the 3 things you talk about. This is how you show it with the boards. And surprise, the trade partners write their own notes. You are not writing the notes for them. And some project engineer isn't writing the notes for everybody. They write their own notes because nobody knows better what the work is going to be done than the person who's responsible for doing the work. And that's the reason why we let them write it. and not even let them, but it's the only reason, the only logical reason of why you'd have the people responsible actually show and tell what they're going to do. It's the most appropriate person to do it. There's nobody better. So that was already like a change from his past experience. And you never know people, like you never know what people's past experiences are. That's why I had to ask him, hey, what part of this takes so long for the buy-in? And I said, now speaking from my experience, Adam, I have never had a trade partner not engage in the last planner system, not one time. Now I had one company that of all the dozens and thousands of times we've done this with teams across the United States, and I've even helped teams internationally as well. We've had some trade partners where their company has said, my person can't go to this meeting. So a company leader said, we will not participate in this process. And we have alternatives how you can overcome that problem. But that is so rare a case, it's not even worth talking about on this podcast because it is almost never happens. But if it does happen, send me a direct message on social media and I'll tell you some better stuff for what you can do in that specific case. But back to this PM for buy-in. Lacked a belief in how the system worked, lacked real understanding of how the system is actually implemented, lacked standards of implementation. If you don't have standards, then you're just introducing more variation and chaos into your process. You've got to, if you can't draw it and explain it or explain it to somebody, you don't know it yet. And that's okay. That's the first step. So the first step for buy-in is check your own beliefs. What do you actually know about this? Can you explain it to people in plain English? If you can't, then you've got a little bit of learning to do. And then the buy-in is very easy. So to answer back, I said, when we bring the trades in, since they have me and they're so lucky, and they are lucky to have me because I bring the fun, baby. I bring sound effects with me, Adam, to every job I go to, just so you know. I've got mobile. Exactly. And we have a good time. We were in the trailer, the same trailer. And when one of the engineers crossed off something from the constraint log, he said, Felipe, shouldn't I get a bell for that? And I was like, yeah, you do. And so I gave him a bell. He got that's right. He got a point for knocking a constraint off the constraint log, which is beautiful. And yeah, I said to implement LPS as an example, it's 3 minutes of explaining what it is to the trades. That's what I've got it down, boiled it down, Adam, to 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, I show them what it is with a diagram and a couple of words. I ask a couple questions about some definitions, and then we start. And we just take it off in increments at a time. That's it, baby.
Oh, what I love, you didn't come out and say it, but I think you hinted at it quite a bit. And I know you mentioned the people closest to the work, doing the work, getting those folks involved, but you're talking about people, right? Like you're talking about really diving in and asking questions so that you can learn more about where somebody is on a specific topic. And then I've heard you say in many of your shows before, then meet them where they are. You go and find them and help them come along as a project team. And so I love the focus on people there. I do want to switch gears on you because you mentioned a recent transition into a new company and a rather lean company that's been practicing lean for quite some time, probably one of the originals. What is it like for you with your own lean mindset coming into a new company who does things new ways? Tell me what that feels like.
It feels like heaven. Every day, Adam, I'm like pinching myself. Okay, so this is real. This really happened. So it's my first couple days when I started working for Boldt. And as part of my onboarding, so Boldt even has a specific onboarding process that they follow every time with all employees. And the person that hired me, one of the people that hired me, put me in touch right away with an HR professional. And they said, this person, Stephanie, shout out to Stephanie if you're listening, made me feel so welcomed. And so right out the gate, everybody was so human focused and human centric with me. I was not just a number or an employee, or I wasn't treated differently because I'm Felipe and I'm so weird and unique. They had to treat me differently. No, they were like, this is our standard thing. And the person that met me after we started talking, these are the standard things that are going to happen. She just laid out what's going to happen. And one of the things that happened in the standard onboarding is that I had some videos to watch before I could get into the systems and get into some of the technology and whatnot. Watch a couple of videos, and just some of it was like just watch and you get the credit. Some of it you had to answer questions on. And I think it was the second video. Okay, so the first video is one of the leaders at Boldt talking about why the company exists. And I thought, I'm getting it like right away in the first like 10 minutes of onboarding. They're answering my question, what does this company exist to do? So I got that answer right away. The
What
second,
is the answer, if you don't mind?
I can't tell you.
I gotta watch the video.
I'm just going to leave you in suspense.
All right, fair.
Yeah. And then the second video, I could tell you, I'm just going to be funny with it.
Fine. No, I like cliffhangers. So
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger. And then the second video, they talked about the importance of building capacity for people, and specifically an easy way to give people more capacity is to eliminate the 8 wastes. And so they took you step by step. These are the 8 very common things, the classifications of work that people do every day in and day out that waste your time. And it's the leaders of the company saying, you don't need to do any of these things. If you find yourself in situations where these things are coming up, don't do it. And I was just like, wow, it's the first one. And I could tell the video is not like made today. It's got some time. It's got some age. It shows its age with some of the visuals and what they did. So this has been something that's been part of their process for a while. And then after that, there's connection points back with people. And then so fast forward, I start working with teams, and not even 4 weeks in, and I'm writing my first A3 for a problem we're working on. And I get input into my A3, my boss, and a handful of executives, like probably these many. And it's like, it's week 4. And I told my boss, like, we were having a separate conversation. My boss is shout out to Nick Lawford. He's amazing. And I'm talking to Nick, and I said, so he's like, why are you smiling so big? And I was like, it's been less than 4 weeks and we're already A3ing together. And we were also on another call. We had this group of people that do a lot of lean things. And there's this one group in particular that works on scheduling, and they're not schedulers. They're people from all over different roles, but working on production planning. And hold on a second, Adam, they call it production planning. Can I get a bell?
hold on. Oh, you want a bell?
Yeah. There you go. That's another big change, because we have people focused on how we produce the work we do. And there's key checkpoints where we actually stop with intention and we plan how our production system for this specific project is going to work. And I've been seeing this like consistently across so many teams. And that's like something that I've not seen at this scale before, across multiple different business units and across multiple different geographies. So it's like just incredible.
What's been the biggest challenge? Let's throw that question in reverse on you, because you've got your own lean mindset and you're scrumming everything. And so what's been the biggest challenge coming into a company with a long-standing lean history?
The biggest challenge is that even with all of this good standards in place, we still sometimes lose sight of the fact that based on people changing jobs or hiring new people, and I'll just give this is an industry average across the whole United States, not specific to one company. On average, Adam, many companies see about a quarter of their workforce change every year, either new hires or experienced hires or people leaving the company for whatever reason. So a quarter. So if you got 10 people, 2.5 people, almost rounded up to 3 out of 10 is brand new every year. And so those, when they're fresh out of school, they don't have a lot of experiences. They have school experiences, which are great. They don't have a lot of on-the-job experiences. Or if you got an experienced hire, they've got their experiences where they used to work before. And we call that the baggage that comes with them, that they bring with them free of charge. Their baggage and habits from their old place, which sometimes are good and sometimes not, right? Because of variation. Yeah, because of variation. Most of the time not. It doesn't fit with the current way that we work, especially if the way you work has a lot of standards. They're going to miss those standards potentially, unless you're really intentional about how to get them on board and started. So I think we forget that all human beings are born with amnesia, and you just don't know. And through culture and growing up and experiences, that's how you get to where you get to. And so that's a huge challenge that often gets missed. So people will say, this is our standard. And then my question is always, how do we get people to the standard? Just because you have it published somewhere online on your internal site or even on a poster, just because it's on a poster doesn't mean we've given the people space to have the experience to understand what the standards are how it applies to them, and then what to do if they have to deviate from the standard. Because human beings, Adam, as you are very crafty creatures, and we'll figure stuff out. We will engineer some stuff, sometimes over engineer some stuff if we're forced, but instead we can just step back and do a quick check. Like, how do we know that this person knows? Have we talked to them? Can they say to us what it is and how they see it work for them? And so that's been a challenge where they've got a long history of using a lot of these lean tools. And then they've got some of the people that have been doing it for a long time sometimes forget what it's like to have the learner's mindset or to be new to something. And so I'm bringing that back in everything that I do. I'm just assuming that people don't know. And so that forces me to ask questions so that I can understand what do they know, so that I can meet them where they are, like you so wellfully said. And I've debated Jay Carroll on this for over an hour on meeting people. And I say over an hour because we recorded an hour worth of debate, but we had been debating offline and in social media for probably days before the actual debate. And it was a close debate, but I won.
You definitely won. No question. The world agrees with you. You won here. Anyways, I was going to give you another bell, but we're running low on time. I want to know Felipe, what are you learning right now?
Yeah, right now I'm learning how to scale some of these frameworks with very large teams in a very sustainable pace. So one of the things that I engaged Rex Miller as a coach, and one of the nuggets of wisdom that Rex taught me was that people have a limited capacity of what new things they can take on as far as change in a given day. And so I'm learning to apply that with teams. Like I'm working with one team where it's just 6 people, and I'm working with another team where they're over 30 people, probably over actually 80 people, and you include all the design partners. They're early in the project. And so taking that knowledge that there's only so much change people can withstand in a day, and then scaling that up to where hitting a target where we want to be, and then going back to the leaders of the project and communicating with them in a meaningful way that we are making progress to that. It is going to be slower than you'd like it to be. We'd all love to just flip a light switch and just have it happen. But unfortunately, like you said before, fortunately, unfortunately, depends on what side you're on. I say fortunately, we have people here, and people need time, space, and set the right environment so they can safely learn, have success, learn some more, and keep going. And let's all journey together. So that's been the biggest challenge, to journey together. You cannot use a one-size-fits-all approach with all people.
Yeah, which you're actually making me think of the Yerkes and Dodson law, the performance and arousal. If you try and introduce too much change to somebody, then they get overwhelmed and stressed. And if the change isn't enough, then they really don't have any interest. But man, if it's just the right kind of that Goldilocks feature, if it's just the right amount of change and you've piqued their interest and you're getting maximum production, and that's where as a leader, you've got to find and read your team in order to hang out in that curve. So I love what you're saying there.
Love it. Love it. Adam, this has been my pleasure to talk to you about these topics today on the Lean Builder podcast. What an honor it is for me to be on your show, man. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, I appreciate you very much. Tell us one last thing. Why do you consider yourself a lean builder, Felipe?
The reason I consider myself a lean builder is because I know that I'm racing against the clock every day to design and have the most outstanding day that I can possible, which includes fun every single day. And to be lean means that I do less of things that frustrate or waste my time. Yeah.
No more bells. We're going all out air horns. I love it. Felipe, you're the man. I appreciate you so much. Again, just clearing the way, blazing the trail for all of us to spread this lean stuff has been very much appreciated. And I know it's come with some bumps and bruises, but I am grateful as one, and I know the industry is as well. Thank you for making it easier, better, and faster, all for construction.
Love that, Adam. Thank you so much. I'll tell Jesse that you destroyed him too.
Awesome, man. Anything we missed? Anything you want to get out there?
No, that's it, man. Take care. For people, the easiest way to get a hold of me is on social media. Go to my website, thefelipe.bio.link, thefelipe.bio.link. You can connect with me everywhere there, including email, should you so choose. It's there. So let's go, people. Connect and let's keep going and journeying together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Felipe.